Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of MixStream. This is episode 36. This is the live stream show where I showcase, right, a little bit of a behind the scenes look at, what's happening with the local indie music scene now, right? So these are some of the projects which I am working on, and the artists have been, gracious enough to allow me to sort of showcase their songs, to showcase their music to everyone, so that if you're watching this, you can take a look at how it works behind the scenes. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in and watching in right now, or whether you're watching this on the replay. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, a warm welcome to you. If you are not a subscriber, please, right, do head on down, click on the subscribe button down there, okay? And that will be really, really appreciated. And also, there is a live chat going on, right? It's also somewhere down, either to the right side of your screen, or if you're at a mobile device, somewhere down below. There's a live chat going on, so you can interact with us. We have a bunch of people who are in the chat. If you are watching this, please do say hi. Let us know, okay? We've got a featured artist and our special guest, Timothy Raj. Okay, Timothy is right, one half of Siddarth-Timothy, the fantastic musical duo of Siddarth and Timothy. Timothy is the musical brainchild behind it, right? Responsible for most of the music, and Siddarth is the vocalist, right? Who you're gonna hear. So, and we've got who else in the chat that's been going on? We have got Zachariah as well. We got a bunch of concurrent viewers also, but don't be shy, right? Please do say hi. Let me know that you are in the chat, okay? So, first of all, just a quick audio check. Everyone who was listening, all right, were you able to hear the audio clearly? Could you hear my voiceover clearly as well? Okay, all right. So if yes, please do, right, let me know in the chat what is going on. Okay, I want to let me just sort something out real quick, right? Because something weird is going on with the text display. It has gone bonkers for some weird reason. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me just try and change this back. Okay. Right, outline. Do we need to have an outline? Okay. So what has happened is that the font on the font on the chat has just gone nuts. And now the font is like super gigantic. So it's like, what in the world is going on, man? Okay, so hang on a second. Bold. Outline. Do we need an outline? No, we don't need an outline, do we? Yeah, the thing has gone whack already, right? The text has gone super huge and gigantic for no apparent reason. Oh boy! All right, it always something weird, happening. So like, the font size is not even helping. No matter what font size I am doing, it's not helping at all. Let me try that. It's still huge and massive. Okay, congratulations. Okay, let me just manually try and bring this down and see. Nope, that's not working. Let me just try and manually. Okay, like looks like I have to manually manipulate this. Manipulate this text box. Okay, right now it looks a lot better right now. Okay, let me see. There you go. Text is still looking a little weird though. So yeah, you can see the text above there. It says there, use code MixStream36 and become a patron at www.patreon.com/studio2105. And 50% of revenue goes to the featured artist. You may be wondering, what is this all about? Right, so the Direct Access MixStream channel is not only just my YouTube channel, but it's also a platform and a community, right, that I'm trying to build for everyone who's interested in topics related to recording, mixing, mastering, anything is related to music, with an emphasis on a lot of local meaning Malaysian, but also, right, regional, Southeast Asian acts and artists as well. right, or want to feature, right, our local and our regional talents, right, for the rest of the world to see lah. So one of the ways that you can support, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support the artists directly and financially, you can do so by signing up to become a patron. Okay, I'm gonna give a shout out, right, to Zachariah, who is in the chat. Zachariah is one of our patrons as well. It's very awesome. Thank you so much for your support. But if you want to be a patron, just like Zach, head on down to the website, right, www.patreon.com/studio2105. Check out the info, right? Everything is there. So a little bit about this track that we are working on. Without further ado, this, right, the title is Aku Tak Mahu by Siddarth-Timothy. Siddarth-Timothy are a duo, okay, right, that consists of Siddarth on vocals and Timothy, right, who's behind the music production. If you saw, right, early on the stream, right, Siddarth is the one on the left, right? Timothy is the one on the right. Timothy is also right here in the chat. So if you got questions for Timothy, if you want to do give a shout out to Timothy, right, and shout out to him as well, okay? And also, not forgetting, this is going to be their debut single in Bahasa, in BM. So this is an awesome, very, very cool thing, okay? So let's start without further ado, right? Because we are running a little later than usual. For starters, first of all, let's always want to take a big picture look. This is what I refer to as the discovery and the framing process. We want to take a big picture at everything, where the different parts are, what the song arrangement is like, to know, okay, right, this section, that section, what needs to be featured, what needs to be highlighted, and so on and so forth. Okay, so right, always do this before you even just dive into any of the solo, into the individual tracks. Take a listen to the big picture, get the feel, get what the vibe is, listen to what element is it that really drives the song, right? Okay, there you go. All right. So it's got this kind of a bluesy, really island Caribbean blues kind of a feel to it, a bit of a reggae feel. There's vocal, first verse. Chill. First chorus. Okay, under the chorus there's a pad to build a little bit, and a piano that comes in, right, just to build the dynamics here. A little cool wah guitar part. Going to the second verse. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku, setiap malam ku menunggu, telefon dalam genggamanku, mengharap kau hubungi aku, tapi aku tak mahu. Second chorus, it's got BVs, some backing vocals in it. Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku, the melody is slightly embellished now, right? A little bit of ad-lib. Again, this is all just building up dynamics, okay? Arrangement is key. Music arrangement is very important. And then it goes to the bridge. This is the cool part. And we have guest vocals. Then we get to the outro. Right, okay. Zachariah says Merdu. Then Tim says, thank you, Mr. Zachariah. Lyrics from my good friend Rafi Rais. Oh yes, by the way, yeah, right. Lyrics are by Mr. Rafi Rais as well. So this is like an extended kind of a coda outro section.
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
All right, super cool, man. So there you go. That is a rough mix which I pulled up lah. Okay, so let's start first of all. Okay, let's go start from where we should logically start, and that is right getting the initial levels right first. Okay, so I explained it before, right? I work on gain staging. That's really important, not only because of the usual reasons of gain staging, where we talk about trying to get good signal to noise ratio, enough headroom, blah blah blah, and all that. But the most important thing, and it's never usually pointed out, I want to get the right initial level so that when I monitor in here, sitting in front of the speakers, I am listening to roughly about 85 dB SPL. So every time I work, every time I mix, the how I mix at the loudness level of about 85 dB SPL, and it will be consistent from every mix and every project I do, right? And that helps a lot because, right, if you study on Fletcher-Munson curve, what the Fletcher-Munson equal loudness contours are, right, it means that our hearing is not linear. It varies according to how loud it is, and it also varies according to frequency. So the flattest frequency response, right, is on average at 85 dB SPL. So how do we do that? Let's start with the kick drum. Let me pull up the kick drum first. Very simple. Now, my strategy, how I do, and because the way I calibrate the speakers in my studio, is to get my kick drum to peak at about minus 12 dB SPL. Sorry. All right. Let me get the metering and the units correct. It's not SPL, okay? SPL, sound pressure level, is for the actual sound that we hear through our speakers, right? That now our ear hears. What we use inside a DAW in digital audio is dBFS, right? Decibels full scale. It's a totally separate scale, totally different. Even though it's both using dB, but you need to differentiate, lah, right? So I'm targeting for minus 12 dBFS. Let's start first of all. I'm gonna pull this up. I am going to load a bunch of plugins. The first one that I have here, right, is called Virtual Tape Machines by Slate Digital. This is a tape emulation. So basically what this is, I am running this so as if the audio was running off and coming off from, in this case it's a 2-inch 16-track analog tape machine, right? So let me just double check and save that preset again. I just needed to modify one setting over there. Okay, overwrite. Cool. So this is the first thing that I have. We'll do a 20 Hz high pass just to be safe. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have this kick. When it's going to peak, at about minus 12 dBFS. Okay, so let me just play this and see. Okay. All right, so let me bring this window over. So here you go. This is the master. So as you can see, it's peaking at about minus 12.9. I think that's fine. That's good enough already, right? In addition to that, there's also another kick drum channel which I'll be blending in. That might bring it up to minus 12. So I'm happy with this, right? Wherever I've set this level, it's already good. Doesn't have to be always minus 12 all the time. Okay. Now, so this minus 12 is not a rule. It's not a fixed rule. It depends on how your system is calibrated, how your loudness in your monitors, how loud they are calibrated lah. Like for me, I have arrived at that because I know, once again, it will, once I finish with the mix, it will give me at about 85 dB SPL all the time. So it can be minus 12, it can be higher, it can be lower. Is again, it's no rule, it's no target. It's what you set according to what you calibrate. Okay, so let's go back to the kick drum. Let's start with that. And the sounds on this are really good. I really like all the sounds that's already been chosen and selected. So really simple matter affair of just, you know, tweaking a little bit things and tightening it up. I really love it, you know, when producers and when artists, it's a joy to mix when all the sounds already work really well. So let's take a look. All right. Okay, so I may just want to take out a little bit of 200. Let's just see how it goes. And I'm using FGA in this case, right? This is the API 550 emulation by Slate Digital. Maybe a bit of 400. Okay, maybe less. Maybe just 2 dB. All right, okay. So that just takes out a little bit of that. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna try something a little bit different, right? I just got this EQ. Let me just bypass this. Let's try something a little bit different, okay? So this is a brand new EQ by Eventide. It's called the Split EQ. This is super cool because it is the first of its kind. It's a brand new type of EQ that you want to check out. Okay, so Split EQ. What is Split EQ? It's hard to I'll try and explain it as quickly as I can. I've only kind of used it for a day or two. But what it does is that it has combined a lot of the features of not only a regular parametric EQ, but also that of a dynamic EQ as well. So you can think of it, but this has been tuned and in such a way that it recognizes a couple of things. It can recognize transient information, right? So transient information here meaning, you know, anything that is attacky, you know, anything that has a quick attack to it, that is transient. So you can identify and pinpoint and boost and cut those kind of transient information. But very coolly, it can also detect tonal information, right? There are going to be lots of videos out there that you can probably check out, but you know, we'll just try it out and see, okay? Right? So tonal information means that anything that resonates, anything that sustains, okay? You can pinpoint those kind of range frequencies, isolate it, and reduce that or boost. Okay, it's okay. EQ, you can either boost or you can cut. So let's just try it out, you know, with a couple of stuff. Let's look at, let's just maybe just pull some of these defaults. Let's pull some of these presets in first. Let's just take a look. Let's look at this one, big fat kick. Let's see what happens with big fat kick. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's a lot of. All right. Okay, let me just bypass that. Okay, right. This is kind of too exaggerated already. Let's go with, let's say, kick punch and clarity. Oh, this is nice. Let's bypass. Okay. It kinda is making things a little bit louder. Can we, let me just see whether can we, is there any way to have equal balance? Let's see. Analyzer, routing, resolution, decay. As I said, you know, I've only had limited time spent on this. I've used it only like once or twice briefly, but it's been really cool. Okay, cool. Let's reset this again. Maybe let's try something else. Let's see this one. So these are drums, rebalance, repair. Is there anything in here? Tight boxy kit. Let's see, what does it do? Oh, okay, all right. Really cool. Okay, let's go and go back to the default first. All right. Now, there's really nothing much that I want to tweak or change when it comes to the actual sound of the kick drum. Just do a little bit of cleaning up because, once again, man, what do you use for the drums, Timothy? What was this? What drum sampler VST did you use? Okay, let's check it out. Okay, and here we go. Let's just loop this section. Okay, I really kind of like the low end. Maybe just want to bring up a little bit of fundamentals. So let's activate band 2 first. Okay, so we have the fundamental. That's about 60. Okay, let's take it out of solo. So on the left, you can see these are the transient values. So let me just try and bring up the transient gain, okay? Okay, bypass. Okay, not much of the transient gain, so let me try and bring up the sustain as well. The tonal. Ooh, that's where most of the meat is, I think. Let me just deactivate some of these other channels first. Bypass. Very cool, very cool. Right? Let me just go back to just now that enhance thing. Let me just take a look at the big fat kick punch and clarity. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So it's kind of similar to what we're going for lah. Let me bypass this. Right. Okay, cool. So let me just bring this down to about, I think I'm going to bring this up a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'll bring it down to about 50 instead, okay? I feel a little bit more, we need a little bit more energy down there. So there you go, right? So let's see, what is it peaking at right now? It should be a little bit louder. In fact, yeah, it's peaking out about -11. So I will probably just drop this down to about 4.5. Okay, just to keep things under control. Okay, what else do we need? So let's engage this once again. Okay, that's very cool. So yeah, I probably need a little less of this already. So just -2 dB on these two different frequencies is cool enough. Let me just bypass this. A bit more. Okay, this is a bit too scooped. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool already. Okay. So next thing I want to do is just put in a limiter. I am not a fan of using compression on individual the close mic tracks, but I will use a limiter. Okay, this is just to catch the absolute loudest peaks, which they happen here once a little bit. So let me just pull it here. There you go. It's got one little loud hit there. Just a little bit loud there. Wondering what that is actually. Okay. Okay, very cool. So there you go. Let's blend in now with the kick out. So let's listen to the kick out. So this kick out is actually kind of giving a lot of the sub information. So maybe I didn't really need to add so much of that low end, because a lot of it is actually coming from here. So let me try this. Let's roll off all the top. That's what I usually do with the kick out mics. I treat it like a sub kick. And by the way, I'm not a fan of using sub kicks lah. Right? Usually, whenever someone sends me a track with a sub kick, it's like, I don't use it. I mute it. I mean, there's I can always get the I can always sort of get the sub kick the way the sub information the way I want, with just normal, regular EQ and a little bit of compression. Okay, so this one I will compress a little bit more with the U73. Okay. With the limiter. Okay, just to even it out. There you go. So it feels like actually I may not even need the split EQ thing. All right, let me just bypass this and see what happens when I just use this and blend in the kick out, right? As I just use this as a kick out, right? Because effectively that is your EQ. If you want it to be a little bit more bassy, a little bit more subbier, you just bring up the kick out mic. If you want a little bit more attack, right, you have more of the kick in mic. Same goes when you have snare drum mic, you have a snare top, snare bottom. You want to be brighter? All you need to do is just bring up the snare bottom mic, right? For example, okay? So instead of using EQ, you're just playing with balances, which is basically what mixing is. So, yeah, okay. So this is kind of doing what the EQ is doing. It's kind of already doing what the EQ is doing, okay? Hang on a second. Yeah. All right. But let me just check with flip the polarity for a second. To make decisions. Okay, no, this one is definitely phase, some cancellation going on. So there we go. Yeah. And we are still peaking at about. Interesting thing is when, okay, that's probably because I took out the split EQ, right? We are now actually peaking at about -14, a little bit softer already. Let's bring it a little bit, but maybe just need to tone it down slightly. Okay, let's engage this. Okay, right. I think I still like what this is doing here at about 50, but let's bring it down, maybe just a little bit. Let's bring it down, let's say, at about 4. Just bring it down about a dB or so. Okay, cool. That's kind of where we are right now. Hang on a second. I'm getting like these. Hang on. Let me just. All right, just got to tell them, can't talk right now. I'm in the middle of a live stream. All right. Okay, there we go. So that's the kick drum. Super easy. All right, really, really cool. So next thing, let's go with the snare. All right. Okay, now, so same thing. Let's bring in the tape console emulation. Blend in the snare drum. Very cool. Again, nothing much that really needs to be done. I'll just probably take out everything below 50. Let's bring in a little bit of the snare bottom. Okay, so again, this effectively acts as an EQ, right? Bring up the snare bottom. The more I bring up, it becomes brighter. So I would kind of bring this about this. That sounds about just right. Let's flip the polarity just to check. Yep, all right. That thins it out by quite a bit. Okay, let me just EQ this a little bit. Once again, don't really need everything that's below 100 in the snare bottom. All right. So there is a little bit of this 426 hertz that we don't want. So the snare bottom is essentially just catching most of the rattle, okay? There we go, okay. Right. Hi-hat. Let's bring in a hi-hat. Okay, let's say maybe just pull it in a little bit closer to the middle, halfway. Very cool. All sounding great, okay? Let's see. So let's see. Timothy says, use one of the Logic Pro X drummer producer kits to sample. R&B kit. So this is just a, stock sound library, man. And it's sounding good. Logic is awesome, man. Right? If you are using Mac, if you are a Mac user, no brainer. That's what you will want to use. Okay, let's go to the overheads, which is essentially actually just the cymbals. All right, so let's just bring it over here. It's once again same thing. Let's bring that in. Very cool. Just minus 10 dB. Nothing fancy. Just take out everything below 100. Very cool. Let's check out what this room mic is doing. Okay. I may play around and maybe sort of maybe add a little bit of cymbal samples because it's kind of a little bit small, so to speak, the cymbals. But that's fine, okay? It sounds like it's a little heavy to one side also, but also it could be because we're talking about, maybe the cymbal that's on the left side, you see. That's fine, okay. Not a huge concern. Okay, let's go to the toms. Right. When the drums already sound so good out, coming out of the gates, they already sound so good. There's very little that, I need to do. So let's check out Tom 1. Okay, yeah, so this was the very vintage kind of a thing. Vintage tom sound. So same thing, like tape and console emulation plugins. Right. Okay, now, the interesting thing again, now that there is no overhead mic, so to speak, the overheads are basically just the cymbals. Essentially, there's nothing for me to check the polarity with. But sometimes it's still worth checking it out, right? So, to see what, anything weird happens when you flip it. Just make it a habit to just check. Okay, in this case, no, all right? In this case, because there's nothing else. There's no room mic or the overall overhead capture that has the rest of the kit inside as well. So you got yourself very, very, very clean tom mic signal, okay? So let's just play it, see. Okay, alright, so just take out everything below like 40. Okay, right, so there's just a little bit. This is about 340. And that's it. Right, just slightly pan it. Because this is more of an R&B-ish thing, we don't need it to go too wide. Same thing, let's go with tom 2, which is the floor tom. Let's solo this. Okay, solo it. Okay, so there's about 500 hertz. Let's take out just a little bit of ring. And nothing much, okay? Again, because it's fairly clean and it's not a busy mix, you can get away with a lot less EQ and reverb lah. So there we go, drums. Let's listen to the whole. Okay, might want to, let me just try and play with a little bit more scoop here. On the kick, I mean. Okay, yeah, we'll scoop out a little bit more of the 200, 400 region now, okay? Essentially, I guess centering around 300. Just a little bit more. I'll see whether this sounds too scooped or not when the bass comes in. Okay, so let's bring in some of the reverb. Okay, so now I'm going to use the whole drum bass to send a reverb, okay? This means, yes, everything, including the kick, the snare, the overheads, everything is going to go through it. But the key thing is that I will already have my reverb EQ'd ready. So, you see, I've already done a high pass about 200, so that is not going to be an issue. So, alright, that's what I feel like it needs. Let's just send this a little reverb. Very cool. So this is nice. Okay, so the reverb that I'm using, this is Reverence. This is Steinberg. This comes built into the inside Cubase as well. This is a convolution reverb using IRs. So this is pretty much the default, which is called LA Studio. Let me just try another one. Right, there's another one which I like to use, and it's this one, Warm Wooden Church. Let's check it out. Okay, that's a bit too much. Yeah, that's a bit too much. Right, okay, yeah, this is a little bit too much for this song, for this, woohoo, okay. Tokyo Studio, let's try Tokyo Studio instead. This is a lot drier sounding. It's a bit drier sounding. Let's go and switch it over back to the LA Studio. Well, let's go with NY Studio first. Okay, this is a lot bigger, wider sounding. Let's go back to LA Studio again. Produce a very short and dense reverberation. Okay, let me check it out. Right, let's see something else that we can use. The rest will look like it's too big. Absorptive stage. Interesting. Let's go with ballroom. Alright, okay. It's a lot of bounciness going on. I kinda like either I'm torn between the Tokyo or the LA one, but we'll see how. Let's go with Tokyo Studio first. So this is a lot more drier, a tighter kind of drum sound. Okay. Let's go back to here again. Let me just fine tune the EQ. Okay, EQing the reverbs is very important because sometimes the reverbs, because the nature of reverbs are, they will sometimes accentuate resonances which they normally, when you just listen to it dry, it doesn't bother you. But when you excite the reverbs, then sometimes you hear, these long sustained resonance notes that's caused by the reverb. So that's what we're getting in here, okay? So I'll go with this Tokyo reverb because I kind of like it to be slightly on the dryish side. Let's check it out one more time. Yeah. Okay. I may add a little bit more individually. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, just a little bit from the snare. And I think I will need some on the toms as well. Just enhance a little bit more, okay? Just a little bit, okay? To give it some space. Very cool. Now, one last thing. I said that I am not a fan of compression on the closed mics, but I like to apply the compression on the overall drum kit. And what I usually do is the API 2500. Okay, I'm going to put this on the end section because that's a little bit more dynamic over there. So let's just check it out how it goes. So, oh, okay. So immediately, let's bypass. You can hear the snare really gets a bit squashed. Yes, snare gets a little bit squashed there. So what I need to do, just back off the attack to about 0.3. I think about, 1 millisecond is good, right? Because I still want it to have a bit of punch. Okay, cool. All right, so the snares at the back, all right, are a little bit more dynamic than the, right? And again, kudos goes to Timothy for really doing a good job in programming this to really make it sound like a live thing. Because you notice that he's not just using one single velocity hit all the way, right? It's varying velocities, right? And then especially at this very end, this last part, then only we go to a lot much louder velocity there lah. Okay, so I think I will need to just drop in, as usual, the limiter, right? It's more of a clipper actually. This is from Boss Audio Labs. So let's just play it here. Okay. How far will it go? It doesn't even go down to to the scale here. Okay, so what I'm gonna need to do is I will need to boost this. There you go. There you go. So it's got it nicely in control, but I'm gonna have to compensate down here on this group. Okay. Okay, reverb kind of feels a little short right now. I may go back to the LA setting later on, okay? But again, in context lah, we have to decide. I have to see how it feels when I bring in the rest of the tracks. Next thing, bass. Let's move on to the bass. So as usual, same thing. Right, just blend that in. And oh, that's such a groovy bass line, man. Okay. Okay, it's quite dynamic, right? So we're gonna have to try and control some of that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, sending to this group. First thing I have here is wave C4. Okay, this is a multi-band compressor, but I'm only engaging the low band. This is just to control the real bottom end. Let me just solo this and see. Yeah, that's about fine. Yeah. Let's bring this down. That's nice. Okay, that's better. Okay, right. I don't think I need the surfer EQ at this point in time. Because again, because of the very sparse nature of the mix, I feel I can let the bass fill up a little bit more space, so I don't have to take out all those harmonics. And for a different flavor, okay, I feel like this would need with LE2A. So let's just compress it a little bit. Not much. Alright, just a touch here and there. Okay, so next thing would be bass rider, right? So not a lot of any sort of compression that's needed. So bass rider, This is just to Alright, okay. Let's go with something else a little bit different. So this is the gentle setting that I usually go. Let's try with something a little bit more clean and dynamic. Ooh, that's very interesting. Okay, but let me bring the range down first. I like this. Oh, because this is bringing out all the ghost notes, especially because what you can see what bass rider is doing, especially some of the lower ghost notes. It's really bringing out all of that. Okay, let me set this range down to around here so that it doesn't go wild. Ooh, I like this, man. This is really nice. This really helps to bring out the detail. And let's move on. There's more. Okay, MV2. This is gonna bring up a little bit more of the sustain, a little bit more of the harmonics. Bypass. Okay, I like that. I like what it's doing, man. So let me just compensate the output. Very cool. So going back to that reverb again. Okay, I feel like I need to sort of EQ here. Slight bit of boxiness. At about 410 Hertz. There we go. Awesome. All right. What's next? Right. So the main thing that's driving the rhythm is the guitars. Sweet, man. These are such sweet sounding guitars. It's already got the effects baked in, so again, really, there's nothing much to do. You just pop in the. Alright, in fact, I don't need to do this. I'll just do it on the group actually. Right, so let's just blend that in. And yeah, essentially that's nothing there, man. Okay, so I know what this needs. Just a touch of. Let's take out that's high pass. Okay, so just a little bit of. Just take out a tiny touch of 300 Hertz there. Let's widen the Q. Yeah, that's all. Okay, then LA2A. This is actually FG2A, which is Slate Digital's version. Emulation. Yeah, nothing much needed. That is such a cool vibe. Maybe just a touch more, just a tiny touch more. And a little bit down on the gain actually. Very cool. So again, depends, right? So that's the main rhythm section. Super, super easy. Let's go now. We're going to skip all of these, the other parts, because vocals are very important, okay? My advice to anyone who's starting on mixing is to try and bring in your vocals as soon and as early as possible, okay? Right, so the snare and kick sound sweet, Timothy. Wow, it's a cool approach. Add reverb to the drums. Yeah, okay, yep. That's actually very common, you know. It's as if you are, you know, I could also experiment and take these drums and do a bit of reamping if I want to. Yeah, I might later on, not doing this stream, I might try and do a little experiment and see, and you know, and just run the drum sound out to the room, maybe out to the staircase, and do a little stereo capture, and maybe you know, mic it up there and see how that would sound like. Okay, that would probably be an interesting to do lah, but I'm not going to show it in this live stream. Okay, so bring in the vocal early. That's where was I? Yeah, I make the point about bringing in the vocal early and as soon as possible. So that's really important. So let's take a listen to it. All right, so I have a couple of things in the chain already, but I just want to also check out one new plugin that I've been using. But let me just kind of see where my settings are. 30 and 75. Okay, all right, because let me just pull up my usual vocal chain here. All right, okay, cool, very, very cool. So let me just explain what is kind of running through, right? So the first thing I have is TDR Nova. This is a parallel dynamic EQ, one of my favorite plugins. You should definitely check it out because it is free. All right, let's blend it in.
Hey, ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu?
You got some effects there. Let me turn it off first.
Diperlaku sebegitu, ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Okay, right. This was a really, really well performed dynamically wise, pitching wise. It was really, really good. But we're going to play around with some stuff later. Okay, so let's solo. All right, let's take out
Bersama denganmu.
the bottom end.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku,
Okay,
tapi aku tak
okay.
mahu.
Now a little bit of this boxing.
Bersama denganmu, jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
At about 750, right? Every voice, every person, right? Because of the way our oral, our nasal cavity, the structure of our, throat, our esophagus, and our airways, we all have, different and unique sound and resonances lah. So I'm going to do this just to take this out. I'm going to engage the dynamic EQ's function of Nova. So, right, you can see very familiar things such as ratio, attack, and release. So I go for a 3-to-1 ratio. Attack fastest, release fast, because I want it to act as quickly as possible. But immediately when that frequency range at 750 hertz, a little bit of boxy honk, nasal kind of a honk there, goes away, I want the EQ to let go, you see, right? So this enables it to be extremely transparent, okay? So let's go back to the vocal.
Hey ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu?
So
Hingga ku
see, only doing those certain notes.
sebegitu, ku berikan senyuman.
Yeah, so very quickly it engages and then it releases, then it lets go, right? So it kind of gets rid of that that 750 hertz there.
Kau balas dengan pandangan.
Maybe back off a little bit, that might be a little bit too much.
Dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Okay, so now up there, there's also a little tiny touch.
bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih
Okay, there's a little bit of peak occasionally at about 3.7, 3.8. So same thing, right? Let's go. Let's disengage that. Engage the dynamic EQ. Let's go to wideband mode, which will mean it will share the same settings. Okay, 3:1 ratio.
denganku, tapi aku tak mahu
So this only
bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih
on the loud notes.
ragu-ragu denganku, ini memang salahku menduakan dirimu, mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku.
All right, very cool. Let's pull it back.
Ragu-ragu dengan
Hang on a second. Right, let me just fix this quickly. Na. Right, so obviously all of these things I've already done before.
ragu.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I must have accidentally done this.
Ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, any sort of editing I've already done all this prior to that lah. Okay, so good thing I spotted that.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, I usually have smooth operator, but I don't feel I need it in this case. So next thing, show you the same stuff that I do. Same thing, virtual tape machine will be the next thing. And then virtual mix rack once again. But the difference I have is that I have a Hollywood virtual tube collection. Right, this will add a little bit of character to the vocal. I find this really helpful on vocals. And what I like to do is I like to do a bit of parallel compression on the vocals, and that is using FG stress, right, which is the emulation of the distressor, the empirical lapse distressor. So I love using parallel compression on vocals. I don't like it on drums. But I love to use it on vocals because it really gives a very transparent, it's a really transparent form of dynamic controller, right? So essentially, what I'm going to do here is more of a 50-50 blend, although I may adjust depending accordingly. So this is going to be a blend of one heavily compressed signal and one which is and one which is the original uncompressed version. So this is how it sounds, okay?
Hey ratu hatiku, apakah
That's good.
hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
Okay, let me just back off a little bit.
Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Very cool. So next thing, all right? Sibilance. This is a de-esser.
Bersama denganmu.
Yep, that's just to control a bit.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, and last but not least, an instance of RCOM. This is the good old Renaissance compressor, Waves Renaissance compressor. This one is just there to catch the very loudest peaks.
Hey ratu
It's not going to do much.
apakah hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku
So you look at the attenuation.
sebegitu.
Not much than 1 dB.
Berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu
Very cool.
bersama denganmu.
Okay, and the reason for doing this is so that later on the second stage, where I apply a little bit more creative processing to the vocal, it won't force the other processors, the compressors behind there, to work as hard, because in digital somehow, right, when you kind of crank the compressors, sometimes they kind of fall apart in a way. So this is just a way, right, in digital to just apply a slight bit of processing here and there, chain it in series to sort of get the end result that you want. Now here is something that is really cool that I want to explore. Again, these are new plugins, right? Probably this might be the first time I'm using this on MixStream, although I've used it on other projects. Okay, so this is Metatune from Slate Digital. Once again, right? If you are a subscriber to the All Access Pass, you get this. This the way that they advertise and tout it, that this is going to be the best tuning the best tuning plugin that you ever need, because you can get really transparent results. And I have to say, I've been using this for maybe about a month or so, and you can, right? It's very easy to use, but you can get really good and transparent results, and I like this, right? There are some instances where maybe the waves one will perform a little bit better, but I like it lah. All right, I like the both of this. So let me just kind of go to the setting which I had earlier, which was about 70% and 35 milliseconds. Let's set the scale to C sharp minor. That's the right scale, right? Okay, so it's got a lot of super cool features. Let's just take a listen to it first.
Hey ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu, hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu. Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan.
Very transparent sounding.
Cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Okay, now one of the things that they has a cool feature that helps to avoid any of those kind of robotic glitching notes, where sometimes when it pulls a note very quickly, so it preserves some of those it preserves some of the, sometimes some singers will naturally have a little bit of a glide, maybe a glide or a little bit of sharp coming into the start of a note. So this will help to preserve this. They call it the note stabilizer. So I'm going to set it to short. So it says here does not correct to notes shorter than 40 milliseconds. So when a singer maybe does something like when it does a little slide up or those kind of things, it won't force it lah, right? It won't act on it and cause that robotic glitching effect. So that helps to keep it really transparent as well. So very nice. Not only that, it's kind of preserves some of the vibrato. So you can see, yeah. So some of the natural vibrato, it lets it come through. Let's go with mid.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
I like it. I think mid-range works well because it's allowing some of the vibrato. It's not acting too much on the vibrato notes. Okay, so super cool. But of course, when you engage this, it is a little bit of a latency. Right, so the only way to, if you go into low latency mode here, it kind of disengages the note stabilizer. So if you want to have the note stabilizer on, right, there will be some latency lah. Okay, so every time you press and act, it'll be like a fraction of a second before the audio starts. Okay, but there's one other cool feature which comes along, and it is this, right? Check it out. It has got this doubler built in. So this is a very cool feature, and I'm going to try it out, right? And use it in this mix and see how it sounds. Okay, let's try it out first, because this is super cool, right? And let's check it out and see.
Hey ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu, hingga ku diperlaku.
Yeah, even at 16%, let's go crazy. What about 100%?
Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan.
It's got this chorusy doubler effect already. There's also doubler width, but I don't think it's gonna affect because it's a mono channel.
Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali.
Yeah, no, because it's a mono channel, when I push it to 100%, it kind of goes out of phase, right? This is probably playing with some kind of a phase thing lah. Okay? You can see by the visualizer or so. So let's bring this down. You can also not only use the sliders, but you can also use this, right, to sort of manually visualize, right, in 3D how it will work. So I'm going to keep the width to minimum and just have a tiny touch of this, right, inside.
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih
A little bit more.
ragu-ragu denganku.
14%.
Tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu
About 15?
jika kau masih
Yeah, 15% sounds about.
ragu-ragu denganku.
Just want it to be subtle, okay? Right? Don't want to be too extreme. So there we go. So now this lead vocal is going into the group here, which is where I bus it. So a couple of other things that's happening. So let's check it out, right? So, all right, I have this 1176.
Hey,
Now I'm going to go into the creative side of things now, okay? Now I'm going to enhance things a little.
ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu?
Okay, let me back down on that. Or maybe it needs to be automated, I think. I think probably I'm going to need some automation. It feels like it's too much now in the verse.
Hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
Okay, right, I know, right? So exactly. It's a bit too much. 15% is too much on the verses. So we're going to automate it first. Let's do that. So it will only go up during the chorus. Okay, so let's do that.
Dengan pandangan ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Okay, right. Because of the latency setting, it feels a bit slow. So when it goes to the chorus, aku tak mahu.
Harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
There you go. Right. So coming from, right. So this is 10%, and when it kicks into the chorus, we'll go to 15%. Okay. 15. Yeah.
Aku tak mahu
Let's check and see.
bersama denganmu.
Oh, hello, GUI.
Ku berikan senyuman.
The GUI went a little bit wonky just now.
Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu
Yeah, okay, there, cool. It goes to 15%.
bersama denganmu.
So let me just do the same thing. So we're coming out of the,
Ragu-ragu denganku.
when it goes to the verse.
Ini
Okay, alright. So let's do the same thing. Let's automate all of this first, okay? Alright. Hang on a second. Alright. Let me just reply a quick message, It's like it's from that earlier project, in Okay, middle of a live stream right now. Might only be done midnight or after. Okay, right, here we go. Let's go back to the show. So let's do the same thing. Let's go to the next chorus.
tapi aku tak mahu. Tapi
Okay, I'll start from that. I'll start from the tapi. Right, let's bring this up 15%.
tapi aku tak mahu.
You probably can keep it all the way to the end, I think.
Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta.
Yeah, let's just leave it all the way lah. So only the verses need to bring it down to about 10%. So where were we again? Let's go back to the 1176. Okay, very cool. Here we go.
Ratu hatiku,
Okay, right. So let's try and
hasrat hatimu. Hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
ooh, I'm really liking that.
Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan.
That's really nice.
Cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu
Yeah, this is cool. This is raining.
jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Really nice. Okay, I'm really liking what it's doing. Right. Okay, let me just pull up this pull tag here.
Ku tak mahu
I'm going to shave off a little bit of the top right end.
jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, let's check it out let's try about 4K.
Hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu? Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan.
Bypass.
Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
I like what it's doing, man. Okay,
Jika kau
so let me explain. I tend to set the compressor first, and it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit kind of counterintuitive, right? So if you notice, I actually set the compression with the 1176 first of all. Then only I went over to the pull tech. So with this, actually what happens is that when I start boosting this is actually going to slightly affect the compression. It's going to have it compress a little bit more. But it's got this kind of a really unique, not say unique, I mean, the way that it reacts is a little bit differently. So I am kind of causing the compression to react a little bit differently as well. Okay, so this is just one way that I would do it.
jika kau masih
I might pump up a little bit of the low end.
ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Okay, that's cool. Very, very nice. Okay, now all that compression is bringing up a little bit of the sibilance, so I have to insert another de-esser here. This is just the regular de-esser from Waves.
Hei ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu? Ku berikan senyuman,
There we go.
kau balas dengan pandangan.
Okay, cool. So next thing, and I actually had it engaged all this while, is vocal rider. So this is the cousin to bass rider. It does the same thing, except this is tuned towards vocals. It's an intelligent one of these smart new plugins that what it does, it writes the level, it analyzes and it writes. It's not like a compressor. A compressor, the audio has to pass the threshold, then only it reacts. This one looks ahead, and it's as if you have somebody who can anticipate all the volume changes and writes the fader for you lah. So let me just compensate, because with all this compression and EQ and everything, kind of brought the levels up. So I need to bring this down.
Hei ratu hatiku,
Let me bring the time.
apakah hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu? Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali.
Let me just double check some of that tuning there.
Cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan
Akan pergi, pergi. That does not look wrong.
dan pergi, kau berikan harapan dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Alah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku
Maybe just speed up the tuning just a little bit.
dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu
There we go. That's better.
bersama denganmu.
Very nice.
Jika kau masih
Okay, very cool. So next thing, let's add some vocal effects. Okay, so first thing I do, let's start with Super Tap. Super Tap is actually a basic delay, but what I've set it to is that this is going to be a very fast single reflections, actually two, right? One left and right. No feedback, because you don't want this to, be a repeating delay. And this is to sort of simulate as if it was being recorded in a nice wooden, expensive sounding room. All right. So it's a very short delay, and the trick is you need to have a low pass here at 1.5K. So essentially everything, all the high mids, all the highs, it's all rolled up and filtered out. So I'm gonna solo it so you can hear.
Hatiku,
You're gonna hear a little bit.
apakah hasrat hatimu?
Okay, let me solo it one more time.
Hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
Okay, right. This one I'm kind of exaggerating it a little bit too much. So let me just bring it down.
Ku berikan senyuman,
Just want to hear a little bit.
kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi.
Yeah, so it gives a bit of a 3D-ness to the vocal lah.
Pergi kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Okay, next thing I'm gonna add would be this mono delay. Okay, this mono delay here, right, is set to 8 notes.
Apakah hasrat hatimu? Hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
Yeah, okay.
Ku berikan senyuman,
This is gonna give it a bit of front-back depth to the vocal.
kau balas dengan pandangan.
So delays are awesome, cool, because it gives space without, right? It gives things sense of space without pushing it back. But having said that, I will blend in a little bit of reverb, and this is going into an EMT 140, which is a plate reverb. Alright, so I have pretty much, this is going to be a very, very short reverb, just slightly over 1 second, yeah? But the thing is, I'm going to blend this in very, very subtly lah. Okay, so here we go.
Hei ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu? Hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu.
Might need to be a little bit longer, so let's increase the length.
Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Very nice. Okay, so now the one more step that we have is, let me check whether I've automated this. Let me read the automation, and probably not yet. Oh yes, I have. Okay.
Senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau beri.
Okay, now it's sounding a bit too much. When it gets to the pre-chorus, the reverb sounds a bit too much. So maybe let me just bring it back down.
Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu.
Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm automating a stereo delay. As you can see, so the stereo delay will come in. So mixing is all about building dynamics, okay? So arrangement is part of the key. The choice of sounds is part of the key, but the whole production process is about pushing the song forward, pushing the listener, and pulling the listener along for the ride. So every time as the song progresses, there's something that's interesting, something that pricks the ear, something that grabs the attention of the listener. So you do it with a lot of things, with music arrangement, with a choice of sounds, with your melody, with adding harmonies. And in this case, in mixing, we do that same thing as well. So, right, from having a more mono-ish delay in the verses, when you get to the chorus, you want the chorus to be bigger, a little bit more exciting. A simple way to do it, in this case, add a stereo delay. So now instead of just a single delay that's mono, suddenly it becomes a little bit bigger, the vocal becomes a bit wider, slightly fatter around, starts to envelop the listener a little bit more, okay? So this is already automated in, so let's check it out.
Dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk
Stereo delay.
kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Right, okay.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu.
So some of that jika there was a little too...
Jika kau masih
Okay, so what I will probably need to do is just do a little bit of editing here just to tone down the the G, K, and the K. Yeah, just tone it down a little bit. Right. Okay. Dun, dun. All right. Listening. Okay, yeah, that's cool. That has helped to at least tame a little bit of the consonants, right?
Ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Very cool. Okay, so what's the next thing? Let's bring in the pads, okay? All right. It's a nice swirly pad sound. Nothing much needs to be done to this, honestly, right? Okay, but what I would do is I would just give it a little bit of stereo width. Let's bring in Ozone's imager. All right. So with pads, I don't mind pushing it out a little bit to the side. So about 50%, you know, that's kind of safe. Listening. Bypass. Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, ratu hatiku.
Bring it down a little bit. 34. Just a dB down. You got to bring the guitar up a little bit, back up.
Hey, ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu hingga ku diperlaku sebegitu? Ku berikan senyuman, kau balas dengan pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi, kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Okay, then the pads come in again.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Nice. Okay, it just goes to show that, you know, arrangement wise, what Timothy has done really works really well. That in terms of the level, the choice of sounds, all I need to do is just set the balance, and then it's all good. Okay, next thing. Now I'm going to drop in this little vocal here. This is kind of a sort of a double, right? That happens in the choruses, just to enhance it. And I've already kind of had my settings, so let's check it out.
Tapi aku tak mahu.
Okay, simple. I'm just gonna take out the bottom end, take out some of the top. Let's listen to that.
Tapi aku tak mahu.
Okay, now a little bit of honkiness.
Tapi aku tak mahu.
Yeah, it's the same 750, right? Yeah, so right, you'll find this, right? Every voice will have their own peculiarities here and there. So yeah, here, right, there is this little resonance that's about 750 with Siddarth's vocal.
Tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
So
Ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu.
okay, I want to automate this a little bit. So because the tapi aku tak ma is cool, but the ooh will have to automate. So
Tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih
okay, let's fine tune that a little bit. Okay.
tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih
Just a dB, alright? So nothing really crazy. Okay, so let's go. So these are second chorus, these harmonies here. Okay, right. Same thing. Let me apply the same treatment here. And please don't crash. Oh no. I should have saved. I would have definitely saved it before this. Stereo delay on the vocals is magical, right? Yeah, yeah. That's quite a common trick lah, so to speak. Not an unusual trick lah. Okay, right. I've got a feeling that this has kind of crashed a little bit. That happens sometimes, not often, but you know that happens. It's all right. It's normal. PC or Mac, they both crash, so let's not go into that debate. So very quickly, let me just restart this. I am very positive I already saved it just before, right? Just before going in. So let me just restart Cubase. So I make it a habit of, let's see whether I saved it lah. I should have, because I've made it a it's like a reflex for me, so that every time we get to, let's say, I will always have my left hand just automatically goes to Control S every 30 seconds or so. So that happens. Okay, let me just take a look at this text box again. The text box still looks a little weird. Let me open up the project. Aku Tak Mahu. Let me just, hello text box. Let me try and readjust this. That's so bizarre, man. Okay, now this kind of looks a little bit better. Yeah. Let me just pull this here and let's set the screen over there. Okay, yeah. Okay, but now this 50% thing is covering the Patreon. Little primer tab. This happens sometimes. Okay, all right. iLog license. Okay, don't worry. That it's not going to affect our session because it's a different plugin. So let me redo this transition. Okay, cool. At least now the text is not covering lah. Okay, loading, and voila, here we are. We're back again. Okay, cool. Yep, we're exactly where we left off. No biggie. So let's try that one more time. Please, this time now, behave. Okay, right. Vocal. There you go. No incident this time around. So let's check out this BV. Shouldn't be anything complicated. Yeah, that's all cool. I just high passed everything above 200, and that's all it needs. That's all it needs. Copy it over to the second BV, the double, and link the both. Let's blend it in.
Kau hubungi aku, tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau.
Okay, all right. Where did my bass go to? Where my bass at? Okay, I know why. Okay, because the Surfer EQ has taken over. So let's take it out first. There we go. Okay, that's a bug that happens with Surfer EQ. So it's very often you need to re-engage or reinitiate the plugin so that it will start passing audio. Right? It's a weird thing. Okay, well, it's free, huh? What do you expect? So here we go. This BB. Okay, maybe I don't want to bring it too far out. Let's try bringing it like 50%. About 75, I think. Okay, that's cool. Because I think when I put it hard left, hard right, it kind of stepped on top of the guitars. So I'm going to pull the BVs, these BVs slightly in lah. Okay? Okay, so we got one more here. Okay, we got this ragu-ragu denganku. Let's bring this ragu-ragu denganku down.
masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Alright, just a little bit of automation once again. Okay, ragu-ragu dengan ku. So on the ku, it will go back up to 10. Right. Very, very, very minor, adjustments lah, alright? Just a couple of dB.
Kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Maybe a bit more, 13, minus 13.
Ragu-ragu denganku. Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta.
Okay, right. So now let me do a bit of cleaning up, because previously I kind of left it because it didn't bother me, but now after all the all the compression and everything, it's brought up it's brought up a little bit of all of that room sound. So I'm gonna bring it out, cut. Okay, right. I may have to chop out some of this breathing, but let's see how. Okay, because it brings up a lot of that room sound. So okay, but I'm gonna keep this, of course. This breathing, I'm gonna keep this.
Tak mahu bercinta. Tak diminta, tak mahu
Okay, a little bit of all these lip noises. Previously, it didn't bother me, but now when you kind of examine it in closer context,
mahu bercinta.
that's cool, all right? But that's the beauty of digital audio and editing, man. You can always clean things up later if...
Tak diminta, tak tahu bercinta. Tak diminta.
Okay, very cool. Right, so this is actually, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, it's not the same. Right, let's not assume that it's the same thing. Okay, so take this out because of some of the room. Probably when I bring in all the other elements, the percussion instruments, the percussion tracks in, it won't be an issue. But let's just do a bit of housekeeping lah.
Tak mahu bercinta.
Okay, just this little spots here. Right, just to clean it up a little bit. Okay, don't want to sanitize it, as pun intended, sanitization nowadays. But you just want to clean it up so you don't have any excessive, weirdness going on. Okay, so there we go. Okay, we'll get to this percussion part later. Okay, let's move on. Let's deal with more of these backing vocals first. Okay, so now here, this was actually the way that we did this was, I think I got Siddarth to record how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Right, I can't remember. I think at least minimum 3 here. And then when you do three takes, no, when you do 3 of these lines, I'll just play them for you. Oh yeah, so it's 3. So it's the same line 3 times. Aku tak mahu. Essentially, there's 3 times lah. Okay, once, twice, 3. So after I done this, I was able to generate right. Let's say I copied this over here, right? For example. And then I do this crisscross thing, this one over here, then this one over here, and voila, you automatically got yourself a double track that way, you see. Okay, now I heard something there, a little bit of a little click coming from one of these. It's a bit of a mouth noise. Okay, not an issue, not a huge deal. I'll zoom into it later on. So let's do the same thing. Oh, okay, looks like I've already done it already. So what is this thing going on?
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu.
Okay, cool. I didn't even remember that I did this during the tracking session. We worked on this. I plunked this thing on. This is a little altar boy, right, which is like a pitch and a formant shifter. So we actually blended this in, so it's like pitch shifted up an octave and just blended into the vocal. So take a listen without. This is without.
Aku tak mahu
Straight up,
bersama
and then just adding a little bit of that.
jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Just to add that extra element there, okay? And that's not only the only thing that we did on this. I'll show you later. But let's do it this.
Mahu bersama denganmu
Let's listen.
jika kau masih
Okay, a little bit, no.
ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu
Okay, a bit of a build up at about 850.
bersama denganmu.
Okay, right. So let me just copy this over. This should be exactly the same thing. Right, yes. This would be the same. And this would be... Okay, this one would be normal. This would be straightforward. Okay, let me just copy this over. But let me take out all the bar. Alright, so only the first two tracks have the pitch shifted on top. Say 3 and 4 would be the original non-pitch shifted one lah. Okay, very cool. Let's link these four together. And okay, I'm gonna go to this one, 5 and 6. Okay, so 5 and 6 are a little bit different. So what I did with the 5 and 6 here is that, okay, these ones are pitch shifted. This one using the transpose function inside Steinberg.
Aku tak mahu
This is what you get.
bersama denganmu.
A bit robotic, but this is going to be blended underneath just to give it like an octave lower. Okay, let me just EQ it a bit.
Bersama denganmu jika kau masih
Yeah, around that same 800, 820 frequency. It's coming out there. So these are blended 50-50, 50% left, 50 right. Now we blend this in. There you go. I think the blend that I had originally, even in the rough mix, already works great. So don't need to do much. Okay? Don't need to do much. So what else is happening? All these BVs are all being sent to the BV group. What do I have here? Again, this was already set during the recording session itself, right? When you work in digital, a lot of times you kind of mix as you go along. So this is great because you don't have to leave everything raw and unprocessed until the only you wait until the mix stage. Only you do something, you just wait. You can already kind of, as the project goes along, run it to whatever processing you want, whatever compression, get it as the way that you want it to sound in the mix, and then during the recording session, right? Commit to that sound if you want to, because if it works, it helps to push the whole production process forward. You see, then when it comes times to mix, it's just a matter of whether it works or not. Do I need to change it? If it doesn't, if it sounds great, just leave it where it is. So what this is doing is going to LA2A, which is just, in fact, it's not even doing anything. Okay, just gonna do a touch. That's it. Just barely kissing the needle. Sounds good already. Okay, and you have here UAD. This is again the EMT 140 plate. This is a setting that I have for full choir. So it's balanced maybe about 20%, right? And with the stereo delay. That's it. Okay, now let's go back to that reverb, because now with everything in there, it feels a little short, so I may need to go back. Let's go back to the LA reverb which we had originally, okay? So LA Studio, so let's take a listen. Okay, The length is okay, but this might be a bit too much, so I got to try and back it off here. Let me turn it off first before I back it off. Right? In fact, this... Let's go back to this section. This... Alright, cool. So looks like I don't even need this anymore. I just need to have the original reverb stand that I have this. So this kind of works a little bit better, but I just kind of need to darken it a little bit. It's a bit bright. Okay, let's go with a 6 dB per octave slope. Let's go a bit. Yeah, okay. Just darken the... Okay, may have to automate this hi-hat a little bit, which is cool, right? Because again, there's dynamics. Very, very cool, right? Very good job. Okay, right. And so instead of actually automating dynamics, right? There's always a simpler way to do that. And that's just by using clip gain. Okay, let's just, not really clip gain lah. Let's just adjust the... Just down about 2 dB, right? So I could have automated this obviously, but this is a way faster and easier way to do it, okay? Very awesome. Okay, so at the ending...
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, right. So it is the double BV that needs to be blended down a little bit. Let's bring this down. 2 dB.
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu.
Yeah, actually a lot lower, like 4 dB. So the double is going to be more of a supporting role.
Bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Okay, a little bit of clicking here. So once again, sometimes these things I might have missed out during the prep session, right? Or there you go. A little bit of cleaning up that needs to be done. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, actually I think I know where it is. Okay, it's there, right? Now when this is kind of in the middle, it's a little bit hard to edit out. So let's just use a restoration plugin, D-Click by Acon Digital. So this is, I've used Isotope sometimes, but I've been recently using this and I really like this a lot because not only, because the Isotope D-Clicker only works with D-Click, Isotope elements, I mean, but this one, it kind of includes clicks, crackles, and also plosives. So this has been really helpful when it comes to vocal editing. So, all right, let's cycle this section, audition it. Okay. So at the tail end, you can hear that little click. There you go. Apply. And that should clean it up. Yep. Okay, there's another little clip here, but this one's not so obvious. So we can use just normal regular editing to clean it up. Yeah, this happens there in this Jika also. Interesting. Okay. It can be a lot of things, you know, it can be saliva, mouth noises and all that. So Same setting. Maybe a little bit more, I think. Apply, and voila, that should get rid of it. There you go, that's better. See, okay, here there's another clip. This is right in the breath. So unfortunately it's very loud. Because in isolation, okay. Let's try that. Check it out. There, you can hear it, right? Okay. Alright, okay, this one we gotta go quite high, 83%. Let's apply. Because, you know, the breath is a lot of high frequency sound, so that's why it kind of gets blended in. So let's check it out now. There you go. Yeah, so sometimes it's not very obvious on speakers or mobile devices, but for people who are wearing headphones, wow, all these mouth clicks, well, very high frequency noises can be very annoying. So that's why we want to, you know, try and eliminate and reduce it lah. Okay, what's next? Let's go with some of the other instruments. Piano. Okay, this piano comes in the chorus.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Check us out on the bottom. A bit of the mid-range. Not much needed lah, not much needed. Okay, just bring in the piano.
Bersama dengan aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Salahku menduakan dirimu, mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku, setiap malam ku menunggu.
Okay, the piano here, to me, this piano really just plays a very, very background supporting role. So just add a bit of that reverb. Yeah, that's all it needs, man. So piano 2 is, I think it's a higher riff or something. Yeah, okay, it's a little arpeggio. That's right, sounds good. All right, sounds good on its own. Let's blend this in. Okay, I want to help it to come out a little bit more, so let's use MV2 for that, which is really, really good. Not mono, sorry, MV2 stereo. Let's loop that. Yeah, I want it to have a little bit more sustain, you know, and those soft notes poke out a little bit. There you go. Okay, compensate down because obviously there's a bit of level boost as well. That happens. Very cool. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, we tackle the bridge later. So let's go settle all of these first. So there's this drive guitar that happens here. Very cool. It's like a repeating riff. Let's put it out to about 75. Let's push it all the way hard right, okay? right, that's really, really cool. Okay. Now let's go to the fun part. Okay, let's go to the all the traditional Indian percussion instruments. Let's start with the tabla first.
Denganku tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta.
Okay, right. So a lot of these samples are fairly dry. So let's just add a bit of. Let's take out a bit of the top end. Add a bit of the reverb back. All right, let me just check what the Mridangam is doing. Okay, right. So what I want to try to bring out a little bit more from the tabla is a little bit more of that sub. So we can kind of artificially sometimes, okay? I've recorded tablas before, and sometimes you want to make it larger than life. Because when you kind of listening it from depending on where you are sitting or where you're listening to the instrument from, resonance can be a little bit different. So sometimes at some sources the tabla can have quite a bit of low end. So I'm gonna try doing that with just gonna try first and see whether it happens or not. BX boom. Okay. So this is like a sub-harmonic generator. So let's check it out and see whether let's just try and see whether this will work. See whether it gives what I want or not. So just loop a little section here. So I'm just trying to get some of that sub out of the not really. Okay, that helps. Let's go with yeah, so you see it's giving a little bit more body. Very nice. Bypass. So this is a little flat. Okay. This one gives a bit more of that bottom. Let's kind of see where can we see on the RTA and see what happens. Yeah, definitely, you know, around 100 there, it brings out a little bit more. Let's go to this high. Okay, very important. Let's listen in context.
Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta. Tak diminta, tak diminta, tak.
Yeah, okay, I think mid will be better because when it's high, it kind of goes up into, you know, the 100 plus range, 150 range. There, it starts to sound a bit boxy. So I think mid is good because this is kind of around 100, right? That helps to really boost it up. And let's go a little bit furthermore. Again, so just to give it a little bit more clearer definition, MV2 is perfect for this sort of applications, man.
Diminta, tak. Tak diminta, tak.
Okay, I gotta compensate down about the dB.
Tak diminta, tak. Tak diminta, tak.
Okay, let's mute the vocal first. Very cool. Okay, let's go with the Mridangam. Right. I believe I hope I'm not butchering the pronunciation. I have recorded all of these instruments before. Okay, so with the Mridangam, let's go. Okay, now one thing that with a lot of traditional instruments that I've sort of learned, on the couple of occasions where I mix traditional instruments for different projects, is that some of our preconceived notions, right, of how some sounds should be, especially when you reference to Western instruments, it really doesn't apply. You have to throw all that away when it comes to traditional instruments. things where, you know, we would define as, oh, that's like a weird resonance or some kind of weird thing or something like that, actually is part and really essential to the authentic sound of these instruments. I learned that the hard way before. I think a long time ago, I think I mixed, I can't remember what instrument it was some Chinese instrument lah. The thing is, I EQ'd it a little bit too much, you know, getting rid of this kind of resonances in there. But then I got the feedback, I think, from either the player or the producer saying that, hey, the instrument should sound that way. So the way that it should sound exactly how you hear it in the room, all the oddities, all the whatever harmonics or resonances that happen with it is part and parcel of it. So with traditional stuff, I'm very, very careful. Very often it's you don't want to EQ it. You really want to keep and preserve the original sound. Maybe you want to brighten things. Maybe you want to darken things, darken a bit more bass and all that. But don't go around messing around too much with the original sound. That's one thing that I've learned when I've worked with traditional music instruments. Okay, so now with this, I think I want to see whether I want to do the same thing. I want to give it a bit more body. And once again, that plug-in, the boom, really works wonders. Okay. Let me give a little sip of water first. All right, thank you very much. Tabla sounds very nice indeed. All right, cool, man. Thank you. I want to give it a little bit more body. What did you use? Did you record this, or did you use like samples or loops? What you use to do it? So let's go. Let's bring the boom. Okay, right. So there's not much here. I want to again try and see though we can bring up a little bit more sub. So this is not really adding. I'm really kind of I'm kind of really going all the way already. So I think what this is going to need, it might just need okay, let's try this. I've not used this in a while. Let's go with the earth. Let's give this a shot. So let's take this frequency out. Okay, very cool. Now that's where I'm getting. So what I'm going here is that, okay, so this earth is not, okay, so this is not redoing, but what I'm doing here is, so the air EQ, the earth and the air modules, right? It's very cool because here what we do is that when I engage the filter here, it can also change the Q and the shape of the filter. And sometimes what this does is that gives a little resonant peak, right, at the cutoff frequency. So even though yes, you are cutting off, right, the lows, but at that cutoff point you get a resonance peak. So let's go with 80 dB per octave. So when I engage this, you see what happens. Okay, let's go with maybe 1.5 Q, and let's look for that resonant frequency. There you go, at about 107. Let's bypass this. So, the body is all gone. There you go. It's all the body coming back. Let's play with the Q. Ooh, that's a lot better. Okay, that may or may not be too much. Let's play with the slope. Okay, that's a bit too much. Let's go back to 18. 24 dB per octave. This one, I'm essentially messing around with the fundamental already. I'm kind of generating that under that frequency. Okay, but this is a bit too low. So about 100, 407. That was kind of okay. Let's ease off the. Let's go back to 18 dB per octave. Yeah, there we go. Let's engage a bit of the earth. There you go. Right, so everything's got a little bit more weight to it now. All right, super cool. Okay, now one more thing I want to try. I don't know whether this can do or not. This is a stereo file, so it should be able to work. I want to sort of artificially stereoize the meridian a little bit. Okay, so let's go with Ozone's Imager. It's got this cool feature called stereoize, so let's check it out. So now it's usually mono, right? Right, so looking at the chat, okay, use tabla and meridian samples. Okay, that's cool. That's perfectly fine, man. So let's stereoize the meridian. Why cannot one? Why cannot? Okay, maybe because this is on a mono track. Maybe that's why. Okay, so let me check this out. Where can I push it to? Can I do this on a stereo track? Okay, add track. Let me just do this. Yeah, add track. Audio, maybe because the original track was audio, it was a mono. See, so stereo audio outputs back to the percussion. Let's enter the name. Okay, DANGAM MRI. Okay, all right, MRI. Okay, there we go. So now let's copy this down here. Let's copy the settings over. Okay, let's turn this down. Okay, now we try with the imager. Oh, okay, wait, hang on a second. I have to increase the width, alamak, which shows that I have not used this in a while, so I forgot already how to use it. So, okay, let me go back to this. So back to this track. So it should work. I think it should work. Let's go with. Oh, okay, there we go. It works lah. Okay. So let's look at the amount. Very nice. So fake stereo. Bypass. This is mono. Right up the middle. Let's stereoize it. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Right. 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 I don't mind. Okay. Right. Tabla, because it's a smaller instrument, maybe a little bit more mono. That's fine. But here, especially when things build up, then the meridian is a bigger drum. Right. It's a slightly wider instrument. I don't mind. I want to give it a little bit more width lah. So, again, building interest all the way. Okay. Here we go. A bit too much. Let's reduce this. Okay, we just want a little bit of extra width. That's okay. Send the same reverb. All right, very cool. Okay, now let's bring in the vocal again. Let's listen in context with the vocal. Okay. Okay, just bring it down or automate it a dB down, I think. About 2 dB actually.
Tak mahu bercinta, tak ketimita, tak tahu bercinta, tak ketimita, tak mahu bercinta, tak ketimita, tak mahu bercinta, tak ketimita, tak tahu bercinta.
Okay, and back up. Yeah. So just automate this the main vocal just down a little bit, let the percussions be the feature. And plus there's also later on there's going to be a female vocal as well. Okay, so these are some other additional percussion stuff, which just add this in. Dude, what is this? Sounds like a little... whatever that is. Take off a little bit of the top end. Yeah, otherwise it's a little bit piercing. This is in stereo, so... give it a bit of reverb. Okay, let's blend all these in. Tak mahu bercinta. Tak mahu bercinta. Okay, let's look at percussion 2. What's percussion 2? Ah, it's like a little shaker. Alright, so cymbal. Okay. Okay, I have this to the left. Tak mahu bercinta. Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta. Tak diminta, tak tahu bercinta. Tak diminta. Right, okay, third one. So, what is this one? Alright, this looks like some bells. Let's bring the reverb. Okay, so this one's about 50% to the right. Here we go. About 8 dB. Alright, so we got this little whip. It's called whip. It's kind of a reverb. Yeah, it's kind of a reverb sound effect. Okay, the weird thing is that it's kind of heavy on the right. So let's try and fix that and see. Well, we can either leave it as a kind of we can leave it as a peculiarity, but let's see what happens when we try to balance it out. So let's go. So all right, this is just to... that's better. It's about 3. Okay, yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so I'm just compensating the right channel, right, by about 3.5 dB. So it kind of centers it a little bit more. So sometimes the samples come that way. So, there's no harm in doing that. But it's kind of better to have it a little bit more centered. There you go. There you go. And lastly, good old shaker. Okay, a bit of a shaker here. Right. There we go. Let's bring in this pad. So there's a pad that's going on here as well. Again, alright, with pads, there's really nothing much you need to do. Strings! Okay, this is kind of more like, it almost plays like a sample instead of real strings. Let's give it a bit of reverb. Almost like a mellotron kind of a sample. Alright, okay. Alright, cool. Right, very, very cool. So I'm going to mute the strings first because next thing I want to look at, and probably almost near the end, would be the female vocals. What's the name of what's the name of the girl that featured on this? Should probably mention her name in the video description lah, right? So let's do this. So let's, as usual, I would go with the same kind of a vocal chain. So let's check it out, right? Let's check it out.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu, cuma ku ragu siapa ratu hatimu.
Okay, right, so let's take it out.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu,
Okay.
cuma ku ragu
Okay, there's quite a bit of
siapa ratu
peaks.
hatimu.
I suspect this was recorded with a dynamic. Again, I don't know.
Bersama denganmu,
Am I right? Was this recorded with a dynamic or
cuma ku ragu siapa ratu hatimu.
Okay, right. So there's very significant peaks.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu, cuma ku ragu siapa ratu.
So about 4.5.6, there's a couple of significant peaks, which leads me to suspect that this is a dynamic.
Ratu hatimu.
Let's go again.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Very cool.
Cuma ku ragu siapa ratu hatimu.
Okay, listening.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu, cuma ku ragu
Okay, and one more.
siapa ratu hatimu.
At about 3.2.
Bukan tak mahu
The 3.2 one's a little bit milder.
bersama denganmu,
I could go with a slightly wider Q.
cuma ku ragu
There you go, that's better.
siapa ratu hatimu.
I'm gonna take off a little bit of the top end.
Bukan tak mahu
That's better.
bersama denganmu,
Some of the sibilants.
cuma ku ragu siapa ratu hatimu.
Let's back off a little bit on the R-com.
Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu, cuma ku ragu.
Alright, very, very cool. So this one, I want to treat it like the BV, so let's give it a bit of the reverb treatment.
Siapa ratu hatimu. Bukan tak mahu bersama denganmu.
Very cool. So let's copy this setting over to this first track. Okay, there's a bit of proximity, but again, right. So Timothy says, right, oh, her name is Roshini Balachandran. Okay, awesome work, Roshini, right? Definitely will want to credit her in the description later down there. I think she used a dynamic, but not really sure. It sounds like a dynamic. It behaves that way with the peaks, right? It sounds like, and especially this part, it definitely sounds like, a dynamic that's up close, right? But that's, again, no big deal. Very nice, okay? Okay, this one I may need to add an EQ. Very cool, right? Because it's very common. Dynamics usually have that peak at about 4K. They are built and designed that way, with that peak there. So that's just kind of what leads me to suspect that it's a dynamic. Hey, but a lot of great vocals were recorded on dynamics, man. Michael Jackson uses SM7B. Bono uses an SM58, or is it a Beta 58? I can't remember. Okay, let me just do a little bit of editing on some of these breaths. Okay, because when you apply all that compression, very often, all these things, the breathing always gets exaggerated lah. So it's stylistic, it's dependent on some stuff. On some songs, it depends. They like to have that super loud breathing, right? On other stuff, it may not be appropriate lah. So in this case, we want to tone it down a little bit so that it's not too, you don't hear her like taking like a deep breath every time. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, right. This breath here sounds a little weird, so I may chop this off. Okay, let's chop this off. Okay, this one's good. This one is fine. But as usual, again, simple thing I do is just do a little fade lah, right? Just to slightly tame it. Some people will clip it like that and bring it down. That's also fine as well. But I'm a little bit lazy, and I found that this works as well. Okay, just edit it until this point where the breath starts, and just do this. Okay, that's fine. That kind of helps to tone it down. Okay. Okay, so even on this, the S on the siapa. Okay, let's give not just only this, but let's pump in a little bit of the stereo delay. This will maybe down. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna automate this. Funny enough, the waveform looks louder, but again, this could be because compression, you see. So it might have squashed that last line, the da 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 da, a little more. So compensate lah, automate. Okay, it might have, yeah, okay, this might, I don't want to take this out. Okay, make sure, careful. Da, 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 da. That's better. Okay. Right, so that last phrase, that da 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 da, is a little clearer. In fact, this last line could also be a little bit louder. So let's go the simple way. Just clip gain it a little bit. That's better. Okay. Okay, I think this drive guitar gonna bring it a little bit more. Or maybe in the middle. Let's see. Okay, cool. So now, let's. This is cool, right? So now she goes into more of the, the chants. I want to make her sound a little bit more distant, and the easy way just to take out a bit of the bottom end, okay? Let's use this EQ and see. Okay, maybe just that. Maybe just automate this. Just additional low shelf, just to take the look. then at the ending,
Ragu denganku, aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
let's keep this.
Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Okay, let's do the same thing. We have to keep all these breaths a little bit under control. Right. Yeah, alright, okay. So I'll keep this EQ, the low shelf on. Yeah, I'll keep it on because at the earlier part, when it's just her and the percussion without the bass, that helps because her low frequency will fill up that space. But now when you have all of the music along, it helps lah, right? To this little shelf to sort of take out that low end lah, right? That's why we need to help it to sit. Otherwise it becomes very, very muddy. So there we go. Okay, so back to the strings now. We can blend it in context with the...
Cinta, sakit diminta, tak mahu bercinta. Takkan diminta, tak mahu bercinta. Takkan diminta, tak tahu bercinta. Bersama denganmu, cuma ku ragu. Siapa ratu hatimu? Aku tak mahu.
There you go, very cool. Almost there. So, all right, what else do we have left? We have the lead guitars. Okay, so let's check out lead guitars, okay? So very, very cool. These are all done by Timothy. So just run it through the tape and console emulation. Right. So already sounding good on it. Just really nothing much that needs to be done. Nothing much needs to be done. Okay, what I will do, and I love using this again on a lot of any kind of solo instruments as well, plucked instruments. MV2 again, man, it's a wonderful, amazing tool. If there's one plugin you want to buy during Black Friday sales, which is happening right now, go and get MV2 if you don't have it, okay? Either buy as part of a bundle or you know, or you can just buy the plugin alone. Maybe it's going for $29.99 or something like that lah. Waves lah, okay? Hey Waves, I'm promoting you, okay? You should kind of sponsor me. Okay, let's use this. Okay, this is going to bring up all the little ghost notes, a little it's going to help to bring all that up. Because that's the one that gives the bounce and the grooves. Bypass. See, it's bringing everything, it's making everything more detailed. Bypass. See, all the chick chack chack chack, all that becomes a little clearer. And hey, we got who else? Butot, all the way from Sabah, man. Hey, how you doing? Butot Bassman Music. Fire, 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 fire. Okay, how you doing, man? Good, thanks for joining in the stream. All right. Very cool. Okay, what I will do usually, but let's try it and see whether it works or not, just to give the solos and leads a little bit of extra dimension, I use this one, Acorn Multiply. Right, vintage lead. This is kind of like a chorusing, doubling kind of a plugin as well, but so this is just going to blend in a little bit. Okay, here we go. So this one is obvious, it's chorusing. I want it to be very subtle, just to give a bit more dimension.
Hihat
That's all it needs, right? That's all.
berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih
Okay, right, and then it's really cool part here that goes on, right? The lead takes on this little lick. Super effective part, man. It gives it.
untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu
Okay, so let's pan this. This is gonna pan to the right.
pandangan. Ku cuba mengalah dan pergi. Kau berikan harapan untuk kembali. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Super cool.
Tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu.
Very nice. Then the piano, high piano comes in as well. And there's a little wah.
Ini memang salahku
Okay, let me see. So this might go back to the middle.
mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku. Setiap
Or maybe
malam
keep it to the right.
mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku.
Okay, but definitely need to automate this.
Salahku menduakan dirimu, mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku. Setiap malam ku menunggu telefon dalam genggamanku. Mengkhianati cintamu.
About 2 dB more.
Kau tiada lagi di sisiku.
Yeah, let's bring it up more, man. Let's go. Let's make it poke out. Okay, that's a bit too much. 12 minus 12 dB.
Menduakan dirimu, mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku.
Alright, so maybe somewhere in between. So around minus 13.
Mengkhianati cintamu. Kau tiada lagi di sisiku. Setiap malam ku menunggu
Very cool.
telefon
So back down here.
tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih
Let's bring it up to minus
ragu-ragu
18.
denganku.
Slightly louder than the first chorus because everyone seemed to be building a bit dynamics.
Memang aku tak mahu bersama denganmu.
That's very cool, effective line, you know.
Ragu-ragu denganku. Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta. Tak diminta, tak mahu bercinta.
And let's go this last bit.
Siapa ratu hatimu?
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau ragu denganku.
Oh, okay. So what's happening? Actually, this line seems to be this one that happens in the chorus. It's becoming here, and this is meant to be a lead. Okay, right. So here we go. Let's deal with this. Okay.
Siapa ratu hatimu?
Okay. This means this needs to go further to the right.
Bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
And this is the drive, that riff on the last chorus needs to go down a little bit. So we're gonna let this solo come out more.
Bersama denganmu.
Let's give it a bit of. Let's bump this part up first.
Siapa ratu hatimu?
Aku tak mahu bersama
Okay, then when it comes to this, let's bring it down.
Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku. Aku tak mahu bersama denganmu jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
Super cool. Indeed, man. This is really a fusion of. It's a fusion of different styles, man. It's pop, you got reggae, you got blues, you've got, Indian traditional music as well. Super cool. Right. So, I would say that this is pretty much it. I'm pretty happy with what I've got. This would be like a first draft of it. These are all mostly the broad strokes of whatever the mix decisions that I made. Usually at this time when you're going into, like, say, maybe 3-4 hours, it's a good time to take a break, take an ear break, let the ears reset and recalibrate, so to speak. Come back and then, rework on some of the fine tune here and there. But I would say this is probably about 70-80% there, okay? Right? It's almost there already. Maybe some fine tuning on automation on some of those levels, especially at the end part. And then usually at this stage, we will usually present it to the client, we present it to the artist, present it to Siddarth-Timothy. We'll still go around, we'll do a little bit of tweaks, we'll do like listening sessions to fine tune the mix to maybe change little parts, maybe what they like or whatever they're hearing. So, but right, I've kind of showed you pretty much how I approach this, right? It's very different from all of the other episodes and all the stuff that you usually hear during MixStreams, but it's so cool. It's so exciting to be able to work on different styles of music. Some of the different approaches I have to take to this, again, different from what I've done. Some of the new plugins as well, right? The split EQ is really, really cool, really handy. I'll definitely want to dive into it a little bit more as I use it. Right, I've got a 30-day trial for it. I'm pretty sure I'll probably plunk down the money for it. It is going anyway at a promotion price now, which is at 99 USD. Ooh, what else? Metatune. Yeah, Metatune's really, really cool also. Something that I've been using quite a lot for now. Not really necessarily for the pitch correction effect, but because of the doubler, that built-in that doubler, which is really, really cool as well. So, this track, I won't be doing too much when it comes to the stereo master bus processing. Let me just drop in the usual stuff, which I usually add on just as an enhancement, and then we'll take a listen to it. All right. What I have would be SPL Iron, right? Iron is a very, very cool mastering processor, which I love to use. But what I do with this is very subtle. I set it to MS mode, and this setting here, right, is gonna help to spread everything out, just give a little bit more extra separation to everything, and also I can play around with the tone, right? So this switch here, I can switch whether it's in bypass mode, or I can go to air bass, which gives a little bit of smiley EQ, or what I use quite a lot, I do a tape roll off, which just gives a little gentle roll off on the highs, right, just to give it a little bit more slightly warmer sound. And then on top of that, right, I would drop in an API 560. This is a graphic EQ, but this does nothing. There's nothing on the sliders. There's no boost or cut. Just running this through the circuitry, okay? This helps. This somehow pulls that center image a little bit more solid, right? And then it pulls it a little bit more solid, and these two in combination, I usually run it at the end just to give it that little bit of extra sweetening. Slightly wider stereo image, slightly more solid center, okay? So that's pretty much it. Will I do a little bit of volume automation? Usually I do, but I feel that this song really doesn't need it because the way that the dynamics built is already there. But we'll see. Let me just drop it in. I'll show you anyway. Right, so usually what I will do is I'll do a little bit of volume automation on the choruses. This is again another trick of building dynamics and another subtle way that you can employ. All right, just to do this is just by bringing up the master stereo just by a little bit when you get into the choruses. Okay, so let's do that right away. Okay, so right automation, ready, go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right. The latency from MetaTune is kind of kind of disrupting things a little bit, so it makes it a little bit harder for me to automate it, but anyway, it kind of does the job. So there you go. So this is just a 1 dB ramp up, so when it kicks into the chorus, right, 1. So it's a subtle thing. The listener just feels like, oh, the chorus just feels a little bit more bigger, a little more exciting, but all you did was just turn up volume. Then when it gets back down to the verse, we drop it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when the verse, you go back down lah, right? Okay, right. See, the latency is throwing the automation points a little bit off, but that's fine. That's okay. No big deal. So, rinse and repeat. We do the same thing for the next chorus. Okay, right. So coming in on bar 64, same thing. And then coming out of this chorus. Very cool there. And then coming into the final, the outro, so to speak. Okay, from the outro onwards, this one we can just leave it plus 1 dB all the way lah. So you can see, chorus, boop, bump up 1 dB, right? Verses back down to the original. The second chorus up a dB, bridge back down, and then you have that very subtle. You can't really feel it. The listener can't really perceive or hear it. They just feel like everything is, a little bit more exciting, slightly bigger, slightly wider, right? That just happens lah. Okay, cool. What other stuff that I need to do? Let's see. I think that's good. Yeah, I'm pretty good with everything, man. So, we'll wrap it up right now. So, Timothy says, we're simply loving how it sounds. And you're right, we're going to wrap this up right now. We'll take one final listen. But before that, again, I want to say a big shout out. Thank you to Siddarth and Timothy for letting me feature this song on this live stream here. Okay, so do go and check out their stuff. The details are down in the description below, right? Follow both Siddarth and Timothy's social media accounts there. Stay tuned for when this song is going to be out. Okay, it's going to be super cool. This is their debut that's going to be in BM. Hey, hopefully, right, I want to hope all the best. Hopefully the radio stations will pick this up, right, and play it, because hey, it should, man. It's a cool song, right? It's super cool. It's super chill. It's so different, right, and unique sounding from the regular pop stuff that you usually hear out there lah. So once again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna sign off real soon. If you are watching this maybe now or later, a replay, you found this useful, you found this interesting and informative, please do leave a like. Do share this with your friends, okay? And if you're not a subscriber yet, please head on down, click on become a subscriber to the channel, okay? Once again, if you want to support the creation of content, you want to support the live streams and all the other videos that I do, and not only that, you want to support tonight's featured artists, who are Siddarth and Timothy, right? Head on down, sign up, become a patron, okay? Head on to patreon.com/studio2105. Links are also going to be down in the description below. But when you do so, like, do send a message, right? Do drop me a message and with the code MixStream36, so that I know that, right, whatever you pledge, whatever your subscription is going to go towards the featured artist lah. 50% of whatever the revenues is going to be shared with the artist. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's take one final listen through to Aku Tak Mahu. This is going to be the debut single by Siddarth and Timothy. Very, very cool stuff, right? And we're going to sign off after this. Thank you so much, guys, all right?
Hei ratu hatiku, apakah hasrat hatimu? Hingga ku
I may want to automate some of the reverb as well. So maybe less reverb on the vocal in the verse. Just automate it. Okay. Alright. Butot says, cool song by the way. Alright, thank you Butot. Alright, Zachary says, good night. Thank you so much once again.
bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku, tapi aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih ragu-ragu denganku.
I love that high piano line when it comes in, and it just sneaks in like that. It really helps to lift that chorus. You get that build up and then ooh, drop down again.
Mengkhianati cintamu, kau
The
tiada
bass
lagi
line,
di
the
sisiku.
guitar.
Setiap malam ku menunggu telefon dalam genggamanku, mengharap kau hubungi aku, tapi aku tak mahu.
Let me drop in some vocal effects, right? Some like delay throws here and there on the
Jika
vocal.
kau masih ragu-ragu denganku, memang aku tak mahu bersama denganmu. Jika kau masih
Maybe,
ragu-ragu denganku,
a longer delay tail around that here. Timothy says, thank you so much, Mr. JD. All right. No, thank you, Timothy. This is an awesome job by you guys. And I'll be seeing you guys again next week, all right? We're doing some other recordings as well.
tak mahu bercinta,
And this is Roshini's part. Super cool. Yeah.
tak mahu bercinta, takkan diminta.
I may need to tone down a little bit on the boom on the tabla and Birmingham. Might have overdone it. Maybe it's just a level thing. These are just thoughts that come to my head when I'm listening back lah. I'm on two thoughts about this. Whether I want to, feature the solo a little bit, but that's where the automation needs to come in. I guess this is something we'll usually discuss with, Siddarth and Timothy lah. The bass comes back in, yeah. All right. Good night, folks. Take care, okay? Peace, love, and music. Stay safe, stay happy and healthy. See you again in another video real soon. All right. Good night.